Okay, alright, let me take this off. And this. Alright. Okay, alright. Hey guys, how you doing, man? I'm back. Oh boy. We need to talk. Alright, we need to talk. I'm not sure how to deal with things anymore, man. I'm really not. As you guys probably have not known or don't know, stuff has gotten really hard in my life lately, and it's gotten more difficult. I finally had enough of it yesterday, and it's gotten a lot harder and more difficult. I feel like as we get into the later days of what's coming, and the end of May, we're going to be out of here soon with the rapture, or probably is coming. So we're being attacked a lot. The devil is attacking us, and we're going through a lot of hardships and tests and difficulties. And we're struggling a lot more than most people, and it's really difficult. And we're being put through stuff with what's going on. I'm sorry about yesterday, man. I finally had enough with things. I've been going through a lot of my life recently. I've been stressed. I've been having anxiety. I've been worried a lot. I haven't been able to do a lot of things like I have in the last couple of weeks. It's really taken a toll on my health, mentally and physically. And I feel like I've had to carry this burden a lot recently. Okay, it comes with and everything, right? And it's just been really hard on me. Very, very hard on me. I've had no one around to talk to. I've had no one there for me. I've been alone. I've had nobody kind of to lean on with the things going on with stuff. I have been struggling and going through a lot of shit. I have been frustrated and angry. I have gone back to the way I used to be. I've been trying to not do that. I've been trying to change and do better. And I have been trying to work on my life. It's been very difficult. Very, very difficult. I've had to rely on God a lot lately, and on the concept of just being able, me having to rely on doing everything by myself a lot lately, independently, and alone. I've had to pretty much do most things on my own lately because it's been kind of a struggle, and I've been going through a lot of stuff, man. I've been suffering, being under a lot of attacks. I've been struggling. I need y'all to continue to keep praying for me. I have been going through the ringer, and so it's been difficult. I finally lost it yesterday. I think I went, I think that always made me crazy. I don't know what ended up happening. I pretty much, all this has been building up lately, and it finally got to me. It finally did stuff to me yesterday. It finally just set me on edge. It really just, it caused me to just go off. I needed to rant stuff. I was just in too much of a state of concept, and everything. It wasn't good. And I finally had lost it. Or I was very angry yesterday. I'm sorry. I didn't try to take it on anyone. I didn't try to take it on anyone in general, but I was just really angry, and I needed to just get some stuff off my chest. I was very mad. I finally had enough. all this has been getting to me lately. And the and I just had to just I've been having having a hard time snapping back into that more angry or aggressive side of myself that's coming back, and I have been falling back into things that I have not done in years, or don't normally do in years, or got away from in the last 2 years, or in general, don't do like I used to anymore. Because I have been trying to be better and do and live my life, try to be better and live my life in a way where I try to change, including certain stuff. But I have been attacked in every way you can think of recently, physically, mentally, and to a degree spiritually. I've been attacked spiritually through things. I have had things coming after me and oppressing me. I've had a lot of stuff happen to me. Lately, I've had a lot of things going on in my head. I've had a lot of stuff trying to get me to quit and give up and just throw everything away and just say, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And everything. And testing me a lot. Testing my patience, testing my ability to keep going. And my faith has been tested in God a lot lately. But I'm going to keep going. And everything, right? And stuff. And it's very hard. I have been under a lot of attacks, to tell you the truth. And everything. And also at night, when all this stuff has happened, I can't sleep. So I just end up staying up until I can actually sleep. I was extremely stressed yesterday. I feel like my head is above water right now, and I'm drowning, and it's very struggle. And I'm swimming, but I'm not really able to swim well, and I am drowning, and my head's barely above water. And everything. In other words, you kind of feel like you're in the water, but everything else is in the water, but your head is barely above water, trying to survive here or trying to deal with stuff lately, and it's been hard, very. Including me being by myself a lot and not having anyone there. I've been feeling like, the whole concept of, I guess you could say, the, when the disciples or the Israelites decided to follow God, they were afraid to approach stuff, or they were afraid to walk on the water. They were afraid to get on the water or do certain things, and they felt like they were going to drown. Their head was barely above water, and everything. I felt that a lot lately. And I get ready to do something now, it just seems like everything just keeps getting worse. And it's just not working very well. I can see why I'm going through what I'm going through. The devil does not like me. He does not like me talking about the things I do. He hates me. He likes to attack the chosen and the elect. He's coming after the watchmen. I'm not the only one that witnesses this stuff or has said that they've had these things. They've also had attacks. They've had a lot of stuff recently and stuff that we're going through. He's coming after us through certain means because he knows the days are getting short and his time is almost up and we're about to be raptured out of here. So we suffered through a lot more than other people, and everything and stuff. And the devil hates us, so he'll use whatever means to distract us, to get us to stop, and to try to turn us away from what we're doing. And he will use whatever it is And I've been suffering a lot lately. I can tell you for a fact I've been suffering a lot lately. Through all sorts of different means. But yeah, I feel like I'm drowning. I have had nobody lately to be there for me. So I've had to rely on God. And it's been very, very hard. I've had to go off and be alone and had time to myself to figure this stuff out and to work on this and to figure it and to get through this. I've had a lot of I've had to go off on my own, and I've had to kind of figure out how to do this. I have been getting very close to God lately, and I think that's why the devil's attacking me. And I've been praying a lot because I have been struggling with a lot of things. Okay, and everything, including my mother. It's gotten a lot harder. Yeah, it's gotten a lot harder. And I've been going through a lot. It started when a couple of weeks ago when my mother had an emergency and we went to the ER, and I went with her to the ER, and she was in very bad pain. She had stomach and back pain, and everything. She was not feeling well at all. She was, it was a bad emergency. I thought something was seriously wrong. Like I said, this stuff happened to my father, and I have trauma. I can't go down that again. I can't go down that path again. And that's the reason why it's very hard for me to get over this stuff when it happens. And then I just have anxiety. I end up pacing a lot. I sit there and I worry to death. It takes a long time for me to calm down and relax. And it's just something about that triggers something in me when those things happen. And I have been going through a lot of hard things lately. Anyway, we had to rush to ER. My mother had to be examined, and they had to have tests run on her, had blood drawn. They had to do things to her in the emergency room. We went there about, let me think, 7, no, not 7, we went there about like 12 or 1 o'clock. I think we got there at 1 or 2 o'clock. And by the time we finally were seen they finally took us in, and they started doing stuff on my mother. It was about like 3 or 4 o'clock, but I had a hard time with stuff. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't relax. I had major anxiety. I was pacing back and forth constantly. It wasn't until about like 7 or 8 o'clock when I finally settled down. I was able to relax. And then we got out of there around 9 or 10 p.m. And this was the day before Memorial Day weekend. It just seems like a lot. It seems like what's happened a lot lately is when I get ready when some big starts to happen in my life, or I get ready to do something now, the devil comes full-fledged to attack me and to throw me off course, and everything. I think he knows what I'm doing is a good cause, and it's helping people, and it's doing a lot for individuals, and he's coming at me hard, and he's trying to throw me off. When it comes to anything, right? He is. And in these final days, he wants to stop us from telling people this stuff and helping people. He wants to stop us from leading people to what we're doing. Okay, and everything. Because if you're a born again, saved believer in Christ, you don't, like I said. And the more and more I get to studying and learning prophecy and these things, he hates me. He doesn't like me figuring out what's going to happen. Okay, and everything, right? He doesn't like me discovering my purpose and what I can do. He doesn't like me reading and trying to understand, and everything, and then telling individuals these things. So, and everything, right? And stuff. Because he can't possess you, he can't attack you physically. He can use distraction, he can use methods to throw you off, to get you to stop doing what you're doing. And everything, right? It's spiritual warfare, man. I've been going through a lot of spiritual warfare, and it's been very hard. Alright, and everything. And there are days now where I really have wanted to quit. I just want to go off and be alone. I just want to go off and be by myself and be alone. Because I can't deal with things. And everything, right? And stuff. And I just am better off alone by myself when stuff happens. I'm just not good at dealing with things. I think it's because of what's happened in the past with my father. But yeah, it's just like I can't. Something just is too much for me when that happens. I don't know, just. And we left around 10 o'clock p.m. We got home, and things were going fairly well. She was better. She was a lot better after they gave her the medicine in the ER. Then they prescribed her some antibiotics. I don't know. I really don't know what happened with all this, to be honest, to tell you the truth. There's been a lot of stuff recently that has happened that is strange and weird. I don't really know what's going on. And everything. And, I've been hit hard very much. Like, I feel like I've been hit hard by a major storm in my life currently at the moment, and I think I'm being tested. I think I'm being tested for what's to come. I don't know, but it just feels like it. I feel like I'm being tested and going through a lot of harder stuff than other people. So, everything, right? I'm going to continue to trust God, even when it gets hard, but it's been very difficult. And everything. Anyway, we got home around 10. It was, Friday. The Friday before Memorial Day weekend. And I think it was Saturday, the night when my mother said she was better, she was up cleaning and washing stuff like pants and stuff, and she said she was in a better mood. And she was doing well. I wake up early now, and so I go to bed early. Because I don't know. It says I don't have anything I'm working on in my life right now. I want to go back to CompTIA in June, but I don't know how that's going to go. And I've really been kind of just, I've been doing this with YouTube now, making videos and doing all these things. So I've been focusing on like building stuff like this for my channel and trying to like make something out of it. So this is what I do now a lot. And I get up and I make these videos, and because I think that they're really helpful and they do a lot for individuals. But I think that's one of the reasons why I'm suffering so much is because I don't think the devil or Satan or things like me with what I'm doing, and so they're trying to tear my life down and destroy stuff and get me to quit, and they're trying to come after me. And spiritual warfare has got intense. To say the least, and everything. I've been fighting a lot of battles mentally, and everything. And struggles. Okay, and everything, right, and things. So it's been very hard. It's been very hard where I'm trying to go with my life, what I want to do, and everything in my future, and what I'm trying to pursue, because when I do all these things, something doesn't like me to do it. and it knows I'm getting closer when it comes to stuff and working on myself, including my future, where I want to go. And also, I'm working on myself socially and stuff with people and stuff, and everything. And the devil doesn't like that I've now become self-sufficient, independent, and to a degree also kind of an individual who is now looking at his future for what it is, right? And everything, and what to do. He doesn't like the fact that I discovered myself and I'm now working on myself to be better. He don't like that at all, and everything, right? And I'm working on myself in all facets, socially, physically, mentally, and spiritually, and everything, right? And doing stuff to try to help my life. Trying to meet people and, I don't know, establish relationships, meet someone, maybe make friends, maybe find other people to do stuff with, because it's been hard for me lately because I've been alone by myself, struggling and dealing with a lot of hard shit. Okay, and everything. He doesn't like me. And I do this a lot now because I think it's worth it and I think it helps individuals. I thought maybe if I told them my story and what I've been through, maybe they could understand and maybe I could help them. I don't know. I talk a lot about the things I go through and deal with. That I just kind of make stuff maybe that people can relate to, I guess, or just stuff in general like that. YouTube helps me a lot. Y'all help me a lot. This is a good platform for me to be able to go to do things, including vent and talk about things. And it would be harder for me if I didn't have it. And I'm just able to deal with things easier with this than when I'm not, because I can just do things like this and it helps. But I think God is giving me this to help people and to do stuff that I think might be worth it, and He might be leading me to do what I'm doing. I feel like He is, and that means that stuff is coming at me, stuff is trying to attack me, and everything, right? And I think it's worth it. That's why I continue to do it. I gotta find a way to make income and money somehow and find a future for myself. If you guys want to donate or you want to support me, I might do maybe a Patreon or something in the future. But I don't need your money, but I've got to figure out a way to work on where I'm going to go with my future. I can't just continue to just do YouTube and not really do anything with it. Okay, and everything, right? I had a channel, but then that one got taken down and I had to start over. I had a channel of 86 subs and I was doing really well for 3 years, and then that channel got taken down and, I've had to kind of start over. So, and everything, right? And so it's kind of been pretty difficult lately, and everything. I've got to kind of find a way to make money somehow with the things. And money's not, what I mean is, money doesn't matter that much to me with the channel I do, with the content I do, but I mean it does. You gotta find a way to do it somehow. Everything, right? Stuff ain't free, and you gotta find a way to have something for the future. And everything. I'm gonna rely on God. I'm gonna leave it in His hands, and hopefully He'll figure it out. But it's just it's tough, man. It is. And I want to continue doing these things because I think it's worth it and it means a lot, but I've got to find a way to work on a future for myself. I'm thinking I'm going back to school, but I don't know what's going to happen with all that, with CompTIA. But I don't know. I really don't know, man. I don't know what the future holds at this point. And stuff like that. But I figured maybe if I told people the stuff I go through, maybe they can understand. But I've been going through a lot of tough things, man, lately. A lot of tough things. I have worked on myself a lot lately. Because I just kind of tired of being alone and going through a lot of tough shit. And just kind of looking to move forward with my life because I'm just don't really care about a lot of things anymore, and kind of leaving all that in the past and moving on. And everything, right? Because I pretty much tried to get it to work, it didn't work, and at this point, either God didn't want it to work, or maybe it wasn't supposed to happen. I don't know, because it just didn't. It just I can't keep doing this and going on with this stuff and hoping it will work. I've got to find a way to make myself. I got to find a way to work on myself and make my life better, including me. I've got to find a way to work on a better life for myself, including trying to find what would be best for me, and including what would be best for me, including what would be good for my future, and what would maybe make me happier in the scheme of things, and everything. And I'm gonna rely on God a lot with that to work that out, and everything. But it's just it's just the fact that I tried to make things work, and they never worked the way I want them to work. So I'm kind of done doing things my way, and I'm just gonna kind of have God, work them out, and everything. And I'm gonna have Him lead me to doing what He wants me to do. I'm gonna have Him lead me, So, and everything. I've kind of stopped doing things my way, and I've been relying on asking God to help with these things lately, because I can't do it. There's only so much I can carry. I can't carry this anymore. I've had to deal with it a lot lately, and I've had to carry a lot of this stuff, and it's really gotten on. It's gotten me, so. And it's been tough, so. Yeah, me and my friend Trav, we were going to play the other day. He told me that he was going to be available at 7. He told me he was going to be available from the morning to the afternoon yesterday, as I said before, and I'm sorry, I got really upset about this yesterday, and I didn't do a good job. I haven't done a great job of keeping my patience and holding control of things. I haven't done a good job of keeping my patience and holding my control and with stuff. It's been difficult, and holding things back anymore. I've been going off again on things, and it ain't good. And everything, and it's been tough. But it's been hard for me, man. It's been very hard for me. And everything. It has. I've been going off again on stuff. And everything. I got really frustrated yesterday. I had enough of things happening on top of that, and then I was promised that. Don't scratch that. Okay. I was promised that he was going to show up yesterday, and he didn't, and it made me very angry on top of everything else I'm dealing with. It's just, it hasn't been good. And I finally snapped, and I was very mad. So yeah, and everything. So yeah, it's just, there's only, you only have so much patience before things get the way they do, and everything, right? And stuff. And I had canceled all my plans. I had not gone do what I wanted to do. I had pretty much decided to go do things the next day, or I planned to put those aside, but I've noticed every time I try to get ready to do something now, something always tries to block it or cause something to happen so it gets worse. And everything. I notice that the devil does not like me having the devil sends something now a lot. He doesn't like it when I get some kind of good thing going on in my life, and when that happens, he tends to send something to stop it. And everything he does, and everything. I don't know what that is. Again, a lot of that could be God. I ask God to, work those things out and get those things out of my life and help with that stuff, and everything. Things that don't need to be there. But, and things like that. But, what am I trying to say? I believe God's working on me lately, and, trying to get those things worked. He's working on me lately and having me go through a process and tests, and a test. Lately, right? Cause, and everything, right? But, what am I trying to say? because as God's chosen and the elect, we are going to be the generation that is not here anymore. We're God's chosen generation. And everything, right? And stuff, right? Anyway, what am I trying to say? He's put me through tests. I really do feel like he's put me through fire so he can refine me and bring me out as gold, as it says. As it said, you'll go through fire and then come out as gold. And everything, right? And stuff, right? So I believe that might be what's happening to me. I don't know. But yeah, and everything. So like, it's been hard. But it said we would not deal with tribulations and trials on this earth. We would not escape that, or we would not have to go through that. We would go through that. We would go through that on this earth. Difficulties, trials, and tests. Unfortunately, that's just life. And it happens. But it's about how you deal with it and get through it that really determines if you actually have the strength and the faith and the stuff to get through it. Because if you get through it, you come out on the other end of it, there's something better on the other side. So and everything, right? You don't ever know. So like it's just it's just it is what it is. But it's just been hard, man. It's just been very, very hard, and everything. I've been having to deal with stuff a lot harder than other people. And hey, bud. And it's just been a really, really difficult, and everything. I think my kitty cat wants attention. Have I ever shown y'all my kitty cat? I need to show y'all my kitty. My black kitty cat. He's just so sweet. Okay, anyway. But yeah, it's just been hard, man. And everything. Anyway, but yeah, man, pray for my mom, please. She's still going through a lot of hard stuff. She is. And everything. Anyway, when we got back to home on Saturday, she was feeling better, and then I went to bed around 6 or 7, I think, maybe 8 o'clock. I don't remember. And I woke up the next day, or I woke up yesterday. And my mom said that the pain went away. The pain went away. She was not feeling as bad as she was. But then, I think it was a day ago, actually. But then yesterday, I was streaming and recording, and I was playing Days Gone, and then she said she wasn't feeling well. I got off, I stopped the recording because something was going on, and I stopped the recording. I went in there and talked to my mom, and she said that she was dizzy and she had nausea and something was wrong with her. So I don't know what was going on. And she thinks it was a medication, but yeah, she's supposed to go to the doctor today, work that out, and see somebody. And yeah, man, pray for her, guys. She's going through a lot of hard stuff, and everything. So it's really taking a toll on me too, and everything. It's taking a toll on me. Being alone, not being able to do what I used to do, not having anybody around to lean on and talk to with these things. Trav not being around anymore, and me kind of being stuck in my head and by myself a lot, and just going through a lot of hard stuff, man. And I find myself isolated a lot now with all these things happening, and it's been tough. It's been really, really hard, and has been. And I've been going through a struggle, man, a major struggle that I really had to rely on God a lot lately. I've been praying a lot lately for a lot of things, man. Not just my mom, but just in general with the things things in general, and everything. And I'm praying about the world and Iran war with Iran, and stuff and things like this. So we're entering into some really interesting times right now, and I think we're about to have a rapture. I don't know, but pray for my mother, man. She's just going through a lot of hard things, and everything. It's just she's been through the ringer. She's had a lot of hard things happen to her lately. She's had a lot of things going on with her. She's been really sick and suffering a lot of hard things. So yeah, it's not good, and everything. And I can't afford to go down that path again like I did my dad. It really would cause a lot of problems. But man, it's just it's just please pray for my mother, man. And everything. I appreciate you guys' support. I appreciate what you do for my content, my videos. Thank you for helping me get through these tough times, and everything and stuff. And y'all are a great audience, and I appreciate it. Y'all are great. I've got a great group of people that watch me and support me, and y'all don't know how much you mean to me to help me get through what I get through and everything. And I just wanted to. I don't really thank a lot of people. I don't thank people much, but I just wanted to say that y'all are just great, and I couldn't do it without you, and you're a big part of why I do what I do, and everything. You guys are like family to me, and I appreciate it, and just there's, where you really, really do help me with stuff, and I got quite a lot of views and viewers watching my stuff. I appreciate it a lot. I've also got quite a lot of followers on X that watch my videos I post up. The videos I post up that I find that I show people. I appreciate that a lot, man. It's just I'm going through some tough times, man. I believe that we're close to getting out of here soon in the Harpazo. Something's about to give soon. A lot of big things going down with Iran. Russia about to do some stuff too, and there's a lot of countries and a lot of things around the world trying to force Israel into a Palestinian state. There's just so many things falling into place, man. And also just but yeah, there's we got to be close to something, and I believe because we're close to something, the devil is ramping up his attacks, and he's getting more and more aggressive and more with stuff as we get into the end of May, because stuff is coming, and he knows, and he's attacking the Watchmen and God's chosen for a reason. That's because he knows that he can't. That's because he knows that we're the we're the ones that are a threat. So and everything, right? And stuff. So like, he hates us. He hates us, and so we suffer more because we don't do things like the world, bro, and we're not like them. So yeah, and everything. So yes, I truly think that's the case. But yeah, just keep my mother in your prayers. Pray for her. Just all that stuff, please. And everything. And it's just very hard right now. We're going through a lot. So I just see us being out of here soon. I really do. A lot of people are pointing to Pentecost and Shabbat. Others are pointing to the Feast of Trumpets. I don't think we're going to be out of here. I don't think we're going to be here to September, but I don't know. I see it more likely being Pentecost, June 8th, because they want to get this two-state solution thing put into play by the 17th to the 20th, and we could be out of here very early June. So, and everything, I don't know. I hope that we won't have to be I hope that I won't have to be here close to June 6th, because that's gonna really do a number on me on top of my mother being sick. And if something like that and that occurs and she's still not doing well, I don't know, that's just not going to do good for me. It's gonna take a toll, with the fact that June 6th is the day my father passed. And with the fact that that's coming up, I don't know if I could, like, deal with that day. I don't think I could. And everything, right? So I hope we get out of here by the end of May or early June. But there's so many things falling into place. We're about to be out of here soon, and I hope to God, I hope to God we are. I really do. I just can't deal with things like I do anymore. I've been going through so much stuff. I've been falling back into a lot of my old ways. Been going back into this. Been having a lot of anger and rage again, mad. And I've been having a hard time controlling my emotions and don't have patience these days. And I'm getting very frustrated and angry. And I've just been upset. And to a degree, I've also been going through depression, and everything. So, like, yeah, it's and everything. So, I've been attacked hard and going through a lot of tough stuff. And it's just been very hard. And like I said, I feel like I'm submerged in water, drowning in water, but I feel like I'm already so in water and I can barely swim. My head's above water. I'm trying to get air, but I can't right now because there's so much stuff happening. And my head's above water, but I feel like I'm drowning. And my head is, and I'm barely holding on to, I'm barely able to have air. Just a lot of stuff happening. So, not like literal drowning, but you get the point. I feel like I just can't get a break because it's one thing after one. It's one thing after another happening lately, especially with my mother, and I can't get a break, and everything. I feel like it's just it's like it's this thing piled on top of this thing on top of this thing on top of that thing, and it's just like yes, and everything. And the devil is trying to get me to crumble. I get it, but I'm not going to because I'm a lot stronger than people give me credit for, with what I've been through. So and everything. But yeah. It's been one thing after another. So pray for me, pray for my family, pray for my mother. Pray that this stuff will work out. I think my friend Trav's going through a lot of stuff too, man. I'd say pray for him also. Because he's going through some stuff too, including sickness. So he's going through a lot. I just had enough yesterday, and I had to vent, get stuff off my chest. I really did. I lost my cool yesterday, and I went off, and I shouldn't have done that. I mean, it's just been hard. And everything. But yeah, we used to be really good friends, and it's just been hard lately. I just didn't like it when I was promised that he would show up. He didn't show up, and it just made me really upset. So, just on top of everything else, man. Just I hope my mother get better soon, and everything. But they said she thinks it's a medication because she was drinking the other night, and everything. And she thinks that maybe that might have a lot to do with it, but the doctors told her that's not the case. It's the medication or it's something. Could have been the side effects, and everything. The side effects like nausea and, and everything. And yeah, she's supposed to go to the doctor today. Hopefully, she's gonna go to the doctor today, try to get that sorted out or try to find something else, try to find better medication. Um, or someone's going to have to drive her. I don't know. It might be have to be me or my brother. I don't know. So, and everything. So I just have no idea. Just pray for my mother, please. Um, and well, she said she's doing better today. So hopefully, maybe it'll work itself out. Um, she's not as dizzy, uh, or as nauseated. She's better. But yeah, gotta go get that figured out and see why that happens. So hopefully it will work itself out and it'll be okay. We'll find out what happened with the medication and all that, and stuff. And yeah, it's been tough. It's been really tough. I just feel like as we get closer to the end of May, we're gonna go through this stuff until we got out of here, and everything. And we're about to have the rapture soon. We're about to be out of here. So the devil knows his time is short. He's trying to do what he can while he's still here. He's trying to do what he can while we're still here. He knows his time is short. He knows that stuff's about to happen in the world. And he doesn't want people to know because it angers him and makes him mad that we're trying to save people before it's too late. He don't like it at all. He doesn't like it. Because he knows the world's about to be in a situation that could lead to global conflict or a war or something, possibly. Coming up soon with what's been said, and everything. So, there's a lot of stuff happening, so. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm going to continue to do this, guys. And either if I'm going to continue to do this, I'm going to have some kind of money or income somehow to do it. Like you supporting me, or you donating to me, or you liking my stuff. If we're still here. Now, if we're still here, if we're not here soon, maybe no. I won't have to worry about money or anything like that. But, yeah, if we're still here. If we're still here beyond May, I'm going to need something to, I'm going to need some kind of, income or stuff to, keep doing this. Unless something happens with CompTIA in June and we're still here. So, yeah. Because I can't keep just doing a channel where I'm not getting anything in return for it or income. And like I said, I don't need your money. I'm not forcing you to donate to me. And I'm not desperate, or I'm not saying that I need you to, and I'm not saying that I want you to give me money. If you feel like you need to, or if you want to, or you like my stuff and you want to support it, yeah, go ahead. But I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm not going to say I need your money. I don't need your money. When my father died, he blessed me really well. Financially, I'm in a good state. So yeah, I don't need your money. But if you really want to, if you really want to support this, and you're being led to, or you feel like it's worth it, it would be appreciated. But I'm not saying that I want you to. I'm thinking about opening up a Patreon, especially with my life and how hard it's gotten lately. I've got to figure out where I'm going to go with my future and what I'm going to do, because I've got to start thinking about where I'm going to go forward. Heading into June. All this stuff has got me thinking lately, and where I want to do with stuff, and it's got me rethinking about stuff and what's going to happen, where I'm going to go. And maybe things aren't going to be what I think they're going to be, and I'm still going to be here another year, and I've got a plan, and I've got to start thinking about the future, and I've got to think about where I'm going to go, because Lord, what am I trying to say? Because Lord, because God knows if something happens to my mother, I've got to start thinking about what's going to happen. And I don't want, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but yeah, like I said, I've got to start figuring out what I'm going to do. So, and everything, right? I got to be able to have income for myself. I don't think I'm going to need that, but yeah, like I said, just I'm believing in God's hands and He'll work it out. But yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. That's when I wanted to let y'all guys know what's going on with me. And just been going through a lot, so just keep our family in your prayers, man, and everything and stuff. And hopefully we'll get through all this. And if we're still here by the end of May, maybe June will be better and I can go back, and I can get my CompTIA stuff back up and running and I can start studying again for computers and my certification. And I won't need your money. But I don't know. Okay, like I said, so, I've got to repay for my course because it expired a couple of months back and I've got to get it worked out again. So, I don't know. But yeah. So, anyways, that's the number one thing I want to talk about. There's a couple of other things too. I don't know. Maybe me and my friend Trav will start. Maybe we'll get back together and we'll play again soon. He told me that he had fell asleep yesterday and he didn't have the time to hang out. So maybe we get together again later today. I don't know. I'm gonna be here most of the day anyway. I have no plans, and I'm just gonna have to, I'm gonna have to see how my mother is, and everything going forward. And number 3 is there's a lot of big news coming out of the Middle East, and we're gonna talk about that. And I don't know, so it's been tough, guys. Very, very tough. Just keep me in your prayers. Keep my family in your prayers. We're going through some tough stuff. We're going through some tough stuff right now, even with my mother and everything too. So hopefully we won't have to deal with this stuff anymore, and we'll be out of here very soon. But yeah. It's not a lot of news today from Bubba, but he did have some stuff that was pretty huge. But yeah, there was some pretty big news coming out of J Post. There was, okay. The Jerusalem Post put out some big stuff today. Oh boy, it's hard, man. And it's hard being alone too, man. I just, I did not expect this to happen to me. Where I was going to be isolated and by myself and all this stuff happening with my mother, so, it's just like, life has a way of throwing you curveballs. Okay, so, we'll start with yesterday's, actually. We gotta cover yesterday's and today's, because, like I said, I've been really busy lately. I haven't had time to check stuff like I did, because I've been going through a lot of stuff in my life right now. So, I haven't really been keeping up to date with the Middle East, like I have every day, like I used to. Because I've been going through a lot of stuff because I've been kind of stressed and exhausted, and I tend to just go straight to bed and just collapse with what's happening with me lately. So, because it's just taken a lot out of me. Bubba says the time is right. Labor luminary calls for Netanyahu sanctions Palestinian statehood. It says like a bad assembly line of countries falling into place, Australia is next. So Bubba saying these are the countries that are recognizing the two-state solution coming in June. And they're talking about putting sanctions on Israel very soon. Australia's top representative to the UN, James Larson, raised speculation of an imminent shift by saying in a speech on Monday night that the two-state solution was the only hope for ending the cycle of violence between Israelis and Palestinians. Labor's longest-serving foreign minister has called on the Albanese government to sanction Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and recognize Palestinian statehood within weeks. A move, he said, could help resuscitate stalled efforts to achieve a two-state solution. France and Saudi Arabia will co-host a high-profile meeting at the United Nations from June 17th to 20th, which is why I think if there is going to be a rapture, it's going to be at the end of May or it's going to be early June. Maybe the middle of June at the least. But yeah. Aimed at creating momentum for a two-state solution. You know, when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction, that's coming. Because right now there's so much peace talking and Trump trying to get people to end trying to get Putin to end the Russian-Ukraine war, but at this point, that deal is dead, and they're not interested in wanting to do anything. And Trump can't. No matter how much he tries to bring peace to war, no matter how much he tries to end the wars, he can't. It's not working. You know, I see there being a rapture, and then I see there being a rapture, and then this global conflict hitting the world. I don't know, or it could happen before we're out of here. But I think war is at this point inevitable. I don't think there's no stopping it, really, when you look at it. As much as I hate to say that, I don't think there's no stopping. I think it's inevitable. There's just going to be a global conflict somehow, including with Iran. Because, like I said, you know, Iran signed deals with Russia, and Iran signed deals with Russia. They also signed deals with Pakistan, and all these things coming up. So, you know, it's like, I don't know if there's going to be peace, period, anymore. I don't think if there's going to be peace at all. Looks to me like there's going to be war before there's peace, and like I said, rumors of, you're seeing all the signs, so man, people are looking up, you know, they're going to start saying famine, pestilence, earthquakes in various places, wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, you know, and all that. So, I feel like it's getting close. Many nations, including France, will use this conference to officially recognize Palestinian statehood. The Labour Minister said, by far the strongest message Australia could send would be to announce a next month's critical UN high-level conference that we are immediately recognizing Palestinian statehood, not just as a final outcome of political settlement, but as a way of kickstarting it. Recognition is ALP policy, and Penny Wong and her colleagues have been wrestling only with the timing, and the timing now is absolutely right. So yeah, be looking for a June rapture if it doesn't happen at the end of May. Bubba also said this was pretty interesting. He said, watching Iran, what are these USAF AWACS aircrafts doing along the western border of Iran? NATO's 3A Sentry AWACS aircraft active over eastern Turkey but monitoring Iran. The E-3 Sentry is an airborne warning and control system aircraft that provides all weather surveillance, command, control, and communications needed by commanders of the U.S., NATO, and other allied air defense forces. As proven in Operation Allied Force, it is a premier air battle command and control aircraft in the world today. Bubba also said this: apparently the U.S. is sending more planes, more aircrafts to Diego Garcia Air Base. It says 4 additional C-135 Stratro tanker refueling aircraft arrived at Diego Garcia yesterday. Fresh Signal 2 satellite imagery from this morning Diego Garcia May 27th show. Like, you don't send this much air support or this much military stuff into the Red Sea or in the Middle East if you're not getting ready to go after Iran soon. You know, it comes to, right? You know, or something, right? Even though I don't know if the U.S. is going to necessarily be involved, but Israel's definitely going to attack Iran if they don't stop. They said this already, and so did the Prime Minister. So, you know, it comes to, you know what they're like. Fresh Signal 2 satellite imagery from this morning Diego Garcia May 27th show 4 XB-52H bombers, 10 times KC-135R Strato tankers, 6 F-15E, 1 C-17A, 1 C-5A. I'm sorry. Anyway, it's 6 F-15Es, 1 C-17A, and 1 C-5A. There could be additional aircraft under the shelters. If the USA or Israel think about attack plans on Iran, I would expect to see a lot more military movement in the next few days. In other words, this was May 27th. It's May 28th. We could very well see an attack on Iran by the end of May. Maybe the 29th, the 30th, or the 31st. So, you know, and everything, right? Because the talks are done. They're done talking. They've already said they're not interested in a 5th round of talks. And Iran says they're not interested in getting rid of uranium enrichment. If they can enrich, we don't have a deal. They said if there are 0 nuclear weapons, we have a deal. If there's 0 enrichment, we don't have a deal. If we can't enrich, there is no deal. In other words, if they can't build nukes, we have no deal. You know, it's constant, right? But like, saying there's no nuclear, saying that we're not going to have any nukes, and then saying that they can't enrich basically is the same thing. Meaning that you're giving them the resources and the ability to build nukes. And time to build nukes. So yeah. That just makes no sense. You're just giving them time and stalling for nukes. Okay, you know, it comes around, you know, with stuff. Uranium enrichment is used to build nukes. They need enrichment to build nukes. That's what they're saying. They don't want to get rid of their enrichment. Their nuclear. They don't want to get rid of their enrichment program. They have a lot of uranium to build nukes. They said if you don't, Israel said if they continue to build nukes and they don't get their enrichment program down, they're going to go in there going to attack Iran's nuclear program. They're going to go in there and they're going to bomb it. Even though Netanyahu and Trump have met to discuss this, and Trump is saying, don't do this yet, let me make a deal. You know, and everything, right? Or something. Let me work this out. But he's like, okay, you know, and everything, right? And he doesn't want to have to go to a war. He doesn't want a war with Iran unless he has to. You know, and everything. But don't let me, you know, don't go in there and attack them yet until I can get a deal. You know, and everything. Even though it said that they want to go in and strike Iran's nuclear program. They want to drop a missile or something. That's what Bubba said. So somehow or another, I expect this weekend to be fairly explosive in nature. At least the very strong possibility is there. So yeah, he said last week President Trump cautioned Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a phone call last week. He told Bibi not to take any action that could jeopardize between the U.S. and Iran on a new nuclear deal. In
In other words, don't go in there and attack them yet until I can get a deal with Iran. But, like, give me time to work out a deal. But then that gives Iran time to stall to build nukes. And see, that's what Israel does not want. Israel does not want Iran to continue having time to build nukes. And they say if they continue to build nuclear weapons, we're going in there. Benjamin Netanyahu said, he said in a speech, in a speech conference or a conference speech of Israel, I think it was and everything. He said, if Iran continues to keep building nukes, we're going in there and everything. We're not going to let them build nukes. We're not going to let them get their hands on a nuclear weapon. We're not going to let this happen. But Trump, on the other hand, wants to work out a deal, or he doesn't want to have to. Trump wants peace. He doesn't want war. There's got to be something, and everything, right? I don't think there's any way of talking these people down. And every other day, it feels like something's flip-flopping, between this, right? So, and stuff. But it just seems like something's going to happen very soon. I think Israel might go attack them by themselves, and the U.S. somehow gets involved. I don't know. But I just don't see Trump being able to get a deal with Iran. These people's main goal is death to America, to destroy America, and to wipe Israel off the map. Destroy Israel. You can't talk these people into submission, to agreeing to stuff. They're not going to do it. Including getting rid of uranium enrichment and nukes. I just don't see how you're going to convince Iran to want to back down. Right? And Ayatollah Khamenei said they're not interested in stopping. And so, maybe Trump can get a deal, but it's really 50-50 at this point. It's really 50-50. It's on a downward slope, right? You're going on a downward slope here. And nothing seems to be working, or nothing there's when you look at it, right, nothing's going to give here, really. I hope that's not the case, but it just seems like it's been an up and down roller coaster between Iran and the U.S., and nothing seems to be working. Pretty soon, that roller coaster's going to go off the tracks, and something's got to give. I just don't see them working this out, but I don't know with Trump, man. It says Israel has been making preparations to swiftly strike Iran's nuclear sites if U.S.-Iran nuclear talks break down in the coming weeks. One source said Israel believes its operational window for a successful strike could close soon. In other words, Bibi's trying to say, let's go in there and let's attack Iran, stop them from building nukes. Trump's saying, no, give me time to work out a deal with Iran and them to agree to a deal. And maybe we can stop them from building nukes. And it's like, okay, and everything. And it's saying that Israel's patience is running thin, and and at this point, the window to go strike Iran is getting smaller. And they're not gonna, and pretty soon they won't even wait for Trump. They'll just go do it themselves. I don't know. But it seems to me like Netanyahu's getting impatient with Iran. And it doesn't seem like Bibi and Trump are on good terms right now. They disagree, or they're not working things out very well. Trump can't get Bibi to listen to him. He can't get Putin to listen to him. He can't get Israel to listen to him with the Gaza war. Trump can't get anyone to listen to him, and basically he basically can't get peace to work. So it's just war, and everything. He can't get Iran to listen to him, right? So yeah, it's just like, well, what are you gonna do, man? Right? Some U.S. officials have worried Netanyahu might order a strike on Iran, even without getting a green light from Trump. I can see that happening. I can. Because it just seems to me like they're getting really impatient with Hamas, they're getting impatient with Iran. And like I said, they've already gone in there and saying they're going to bomb and destroy and level Gaza with Hamas. Who's to say they're not going to do the same thing to Iran? And that thing, right? So, a lot of these people have basically defied Trump and gone against what he wants. Basically, these countries don't give a damn what Trump thinks and what he says, and they're going to do what they're going to do, right? And no matter what he does, they don't listen. In other words, they don't care what Trump thinks. They're going to do what they're going to do. So, when it comes to it, right? Of course, the Ayatollah Khamenei game is to have talks to stall, but slowly keeping moving forward while they continue to work around the clock to attain their goal, nuclear warheads. So, maybe we'll find something maybe we'll have something happen with Iran by the end of May. Maybe it won't happen until June. But that thing with Iran's coming, man. We just don't know when. But it's building, that's for sure. Bubba said, Ayatollah Khamenei, Israel needs to be wiped off the map. See? You can't convince these people to not build nukes. He said clearly, we want to destroy Israel, period. So, oopsie, messed it up. And they have, Bubba said, they have said, come let us wipe them out as a nation, and the name of Israel be remembered no more. Psalms 83:4. Yeah. Psalms 83 is coming. Whether that would be after the rapture or before the rapture, something has got to give. Israel's enemies are surrounding them from all sides. They're trying to get them to agree to this peace deal. They're trying to get them to figure out a way to get this two-state solution thing done. And they're trying to force Israel back against the wall to somehow get this to work. Israel doesn't want to do this. They were already offered this by the U.S. They were already offered a ceasefire hostage deal. They did not accept that, and it was rejected. And this is supposed to be coming by June, right? But yeah, Bubba has a video that says Israel braces collapse of Iran-U.S. talks.
Reports that Israel is in the advanced planning stages of a strike on Iran's nuclear sites in Iran.
Not only in advanced stages, Laura, but such a strike wouldn't be a one-off. This would be reportedly days, if not more than a week long of strikes targeting the wide array of Iran's nuclear program. As we can see now on the map, is peppered with nuclear sites and military sites.
Wow.
Posing a direct threat to Israel. The sites in yellow, nuclear sites, the sites in red are military sites. But let's zero in on some key facilities that if there were to be a strike.
Okay, so the video shows Parshin, Bordeaux, Nanes, Isfahan, Iraq,
On Iran's nuclear program, these are the key names that we would hear. So let's start with Natanz and Fordo. These are the key
Okay.
uranium
Nednes, Ishvan,
sites.
Parashan,
Iran, closer
Parchin,
to
Fordo,
the capital,
and
Tehran. Then you
Iraq.
have Arak, a more strategic site,
Right.
heavy water reactor and production facility. Then you have in Isfahan, which can be described as the nuclear capital of Iran, where you have a uranium conversion plant, fuel manufacturing site, and other key nuclear facilities. And then you have Palachin, more to the north. That is a missile site where traces of uranium have been found in the past by the IAEA inspectors, and Iran refuses to give further information. Here down to the south, you have Bushehr, a strategic nuclear power station.
Yeah, Truck. Bubba also said that the IAEA is about to release their recent report on Iran. That he said they haven't. It hasn't been released since it hasn't been released since February.
And altogether, these are some of the key sites, Laura, in Iran's nuclear program. It says that it is only for civilian purposes. Obviously, the facts pose otherwise, in addition to the rhetoric of the Iranian regime, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, multiple times saying that Israel needs to be wiped off the map. And so if Israel were to strike, these would be the leading sites, and the names should ring a bell in the ears of the viewers.
Israeli Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer write, and Israeli Mossad Director David Bernaya left that day in Washington with the Middle East Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and other senior Pentagon officials. This Middle East trio was discussing the ongoing efforts to reach a hostage and ceasefire deal in Gaza, as well as nuclear talks with Iran. Israel remains America's indispensable ally, the only democracy in the Middle East, and a critical partner in countering Iran's nuclear threats. While most foreign aid vanishes into corrupt regimes, collaboration with Israel directly strengthens U.S. security, intelligence, and defense innovation. Nuclear talks with Iran are for one purpose only. Just like how police have to go through certain things before a wiretap, they must show every other avenue was explored. It's called exhaustion. Y'all heard the term, they exhausted all efforts, etc. Israel is close to getting USA permission to strike. In other words, I guess we'll know something the next couple of days. I just don't care anymore. I hope the rapture occurs in the next couple of days. I really do. Because I just keep getting... My life just keeps getting suckier and suckier by the day. Yeah. And it feels like stuff just keeps, I don't care. I really don't care. Okay. And apparently my friend Trav just told me he has a bunch of stuff going on, so it happened, so. And he got stuff that's not good, so yeah. I think I'm just gonna, one of these days I'm just gonna, I think one of these days pretty soon I'm just going to go to bed and not even wake up. Go to bed and just not even bother to get out of bed. Cause it just I can't take much more. But I'm gonna just keep going and doing the stuff that needs to be done. We're probably gonna be gone soon, I hope. The International Atomic Energy Agency (AEAA) is likely to release its quarterly report on Iran this week. It says the last quarter report was February 27th. The report will include details on the pace and scope of Iran's enrichment, as well as other aspects of its program. This report could hold some evidence of whether or not talks with the U.S. has wrung out any concessions from Tehran. The U.S. is outwardly hopeful, at least to the media. Trump is telling Netanyahu to hold off on undermining the nuclear negotiations talks. Significantly, the U.S. has asked Israel to give them a week to see if any progress has been made, possibly a reference to the IAEA's findings. Yeah, then Bubba said, tonight the new moon begins. The new moon began on the 27th of May, which was yesterday, actually. I forgot that happened, to be exact. Because like I said, I was so busy focusing on my mother that I didn't really think about that. Yeah, my friend just told me his girl had a blockage, had a heart blockage, and now now they're uh, having to figure out what's going on with all that. So yeah, man, it's just one thing after another, dude. God, just come back and take us out of here soon, man. Just take us out of here soon, please. U.S. NYT U.S. intelligence estimates Israel could prepare a strike on Iran in little as 7 hours, once the command is given, raising concerns in Washington about limited time to pressure Netanyahu to abort a potential attack. After meeting Trump in April, Netanyahu ordered Israel officials to continue planning a strike on Iran, including a smaller operation, not requiring U.S. help, sources say. Israel has strike plans ranging from surgical hits to prolonged bombings of facilities, and even in dense urban areas. And this was interesting. It says the Indonesian president says that he's ready to open diplomatic ties with Israel if Palestine is recognized as an independent state. After he had a meeting with Macron on the two-state solution, Indonesia is part of these talks with Israel and the Temple Mount of all things. So, yeah, dude, a lot of stuff's coming. Tell y'all the truth, man, I don't even know why I try anymore. I don't even know why I try, because when I try, stuff just seems to get worse. Maybe I'll just go to bed one of these days and not wake up at all. I don't know. I don't know anymore, man. However, though, there was something out of Jay post that I did want to read, though, before I saw this a couple hours ago. Okay, so it says Hamas success. It agrees to deal. Netanyahu announces Sinwar's death. Okay. Hamas says it agreed to framework for permanent Gaza ceasefire with Wickoff. Hamas said it agreed to framework for a permanent Gaza ceasefire with U.S. Special Envoy Steve Wickoff in a statement on Wednesday. The agreement includes a release of 10 Israeli captives and a number of bodies in exchange for an agreed-upon number of Palestinian prisoners under the guarantee of mediators. The terrorist organization said the framework could achieve a permanent ceasefire, a complete withdrawal of occupation forces from the Gaza Strip, the flow of humanitarian aid, and the formation of a professional committee to manage the affairs of Gaza upon the announcement of the agreement. The terrorist organization said the framework would achieve a permanent ceasefire and full withdrawal of IDF forces from Gaza, along with a committee tasked with managing the affairs of Gaza. Yeah, this is why Israel rejected this deal. We're not aware of any agreement reached between Hamas and the U.S. Hamas attempts to use the Wickoff framework as a branded concept to promote their own vision will not succeed, an Israeli source told the Jerusalem Post in response to the statement. Israel has firmly rejected the ideas presented by Hamas in recent days, and so has the U.S. The only proposal on the table was Wickoff's original proposal from the beginning of last week. In a statement, Hamas referred to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as a deranged criminal that now poses a threat to global order and the system of international laws and human values, and called on the international community to hold him accountable. The new agreement is different from Wickoff's previous proposal. Previously, Hamas has agreed to a proposal that would see the release of 10 hostages and 7 days of truce, which is different than Wickoff's previous proposal that Israel had approved. The proposal is very far away from the outline that we're willing to negotiate on, an Israeli official told the Jerusalem Post. The proposal included the release of 5 living hostages in return for the following points: IDF withdrawal to its position in Gaza from 2 months ago, allowing humanitarian aid into all areas of Gaza, and continued talks for the release of remaining living and dead hostages, what was described as some kind of American recognition of Hamas. The proposal was formulated by Hamas and passed on to the U.S. through direct back-channel communications. The U.S. then presented the proposal to Israel. Notably, the U.S. didn't say whether it supported the proposal or not. Netanyahu gave final confirmation that Mohammed Sinwar is dead. On May 13th, the IDF dropped a large number of bombs on the tunnel hideout under a hospital in Gaza in order to target Sinwar. I saw something in here about Iran. UAE summons Israeli ambassador over Jerusalem flag march violations. Okay, here it is, yeah. Netanyahu office denies Israel will strike Iran and bid to derail U.S. nuclear talks. The Prime Minister official denied a New York Times report claiming that he threatened U.S. President Trump with a strike on Iran, calling it fake news. The Prime Minister office on Wednesday denied the New York Times report that in a conversation with U.S. President Donald Trump, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister threatened to strike Iran nuclear facilities, with the U.S. expressing concerns that such strikes could disrupt nuclear talks. The PMO called the report fake news. The call between Trump and Netanyahu took place last Thursday, following a shooting attack in Washington in which 2 Israeli assembly staff were killed. According to the senior White House official, Trump told Netanyahu that he wants to reach a diplomatic solution with Iran and does not want anything to interfere with that. Trump went to Netanyahu to proceed with caution. The office official said Trump's message to Netanyahu was that this is not the time to escalate the situation. while he is trying to resolve the issues. Trump emphasized Netanyahu that his second option is still on the table, but he prefers to first see if a diplomatic solution can be reached. And that second option is military action. The senior White House official told that during the call, President Trump encouraged Netanyahu to act cautiously. Thought I saw something here about Iran, but I guess I was wrong. Iran executes man accused of being an Israeli senior spy. That's not what I'm looking for. Oh wow. IDF holds tsunami response drill after unusual earthquakes in Greece. Yeah, there was a big earthquake that went off in Greece a couple days ago. Oh, they released a PS6 release window. Yeah, I didn't see anything about Iran here. I thought I saw something, but I guess I was wrong. Yeah, they just released it. It says they just released the PlayStation 6 release window. When was this? 2027. Okay. It only feels like the current generation of consoles still feels young, but maybe it's COVID or maybe underwhelming library first party games. But either way, it just feels like seeing a new Xbox, a new PlayStation 2027 just seems too soon. So 2028 then? I guess because it seems like the release date of PlayStation 6 just got leaked and it seems to be dropping at some point in 2027. Okay. Display comes by way of Insider Game Mike Strahl and their report on this canceled Blade Runner game from developer Supermassive Games. So yeah, they said that the release date for the PS6 was to be sometime in 2027. Yeah. If we're still here, that is. Okay. Okay. Um, Dang, The Last of Us Season 2 finale had 3.7 million viewers in the US. Interesting. And this will grow significantly due to low viewing levels over the Memorial Day holiday weekend. 3.7 million viewers. Maybe I'll have to watch it again. I haven't watched it in a while. Haven't had the ability to watch it lately. Yeah, okay. There's nothing in here about Iran yet, but could be coming. Hamas terrorist organization continues its. What is that? Huh. In January, April time, Russia increased pipeline gas supplies to Turkey by 60.4% to 88.8 billion Cuban dollars. Netanyahu and the Knesset. We are at a dramatic turning point in the last 2 days towards yeah, a group of religious Christian believers got arrested in Seattle, bro. I'm telling you, this stuff is just seeming like it's ending up just like 2020. I don't know. Stuff is getting really interesting in the world, that's for sure. It says evangelicals and conservatives will rally at Seattle City Hall Tuesday after a mayor remarks on a protest clash that led to 23 arrests. Wow. That's a lot of earthquakes, dude. 4.6, 5.4, 5.9, 4.3, 3.6, 4.4, 4.2, 5.0, 3.3, 5.9, 4.2, 4.0, 4.2, 4.4, 5.8, 5.2, 5.9, 4.2, 4.0, 4.2, 4.4, 5.8, 3.0, 3.3, 4.5, 3.3, 4.6, 4.1, 4.4, 4.8, and 3.4. Yeah, these earthquakes are picking up rapidly. Israel strikes continue in Gaza. Yeah, this is also a thing too. It says Trump today made Canada an offer to become the 51st state. The 51st state. This is 2 hours ago. So Trump's still interested in turning Canada to the 51st state of America. Photo shows new U.S. missiles sent to China's doorstep. Trump grants full and unconditional pardon to. Interesting. Trump grants full and unconditional pardon to ex-Virginia sheriff convicted of taking $75K in bribes and cash for badges scheme. Yeah, he also pardoned some reality couple that were involved in tax evasion and something else a couple days ago. President Trump announced Monday that he will issue a former Virginia sheriff convicted of bribery a full unconditional pardon, alleging that the woman was a victimization of an overzealous Biden Department of Justice. Scott Jenkins, who had been the sheriff of Culpeper County, Virginia, was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison in March after being convicted on corruption charges related to a scheme that sought to appoint local businessmen as auxiliary deputy sheriffs in exchange for over $75,000 in bribes. One of the men Jenkins appointed to a law enforcement post was a convicted felon. But Trump argued in a True Social post that Jenkins and his family have been dragged through hell by a corrupt and weaponized Biden DOJ. Trump warns Putin is playing with fire after bitter exchange over Ukraine. The sheriff is a victim of overzealous Biden Department of Justice and deserved to spend a single day in jail. The president declared he is a wonderful person who has pursued the radical left monsters and left for dead. This is why, as the president of the United States, see fit to end this unfair sentence and grant Sheriff Jenkins a full and unconditional pardon. Trump noted that Jenkins, 53, was due to report to prison on Tuesday, but instead led a wonderful and productive life. NPR sues Trump admin over executive order to cut federal funding. Several federal prosecutors presented evidence that trial that Jenkins accepted cash prizes and campaign contributions from three co-defendants, Rick Rohn, Frederick Gumbenner, and James Metcalf, and at least 5 others, including 2 undercover FBI agents, in exchange for appointing them to a sworn law enforcement position. Jenkins issued the bribe payers official Culpeper County Sheriff's official badges and credentials without training or vetting as part of the scheme, and non-render legitimate services to the sheriff's office or citizens of Culpeper County after being appointed as auxiliary deputy sheriffs, according to the Justice Department. In addition, Jenkins pressured other local officials to approve a petition filed in Culpeper County Circuit Court by Rehm, a convicted felon, to restore his rights to possess a firearm, and was falsely stated that Rehm resided in Culpeper County, federal prosecutors noted. Rehm, Gumbenner, and Metcalf all pleaded guilty to their roles in the conspiracy. Trump argued Jenkins was not allowed to present exculpatory evidence at trial by the Biden-appointed judge overseeing the case. In fact, during his trial, when Sheriff Jenkins tried to offer exculpatory evidence to support himself, the Biden judge, Robert Bailey, refused to allow him to shut him down, and then went on a tirade the president wrote. As we have seen in federal, city, and state courts, radical left or liberal judges allow to evidence what they feel like, not what is mandated under the Constitution and rules of evidence. Trump added in March. Acting U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Virginia, Zachary Lee, argued that Jenkins used his position of power for just personal enrichment and violated his oath of office. So, that was interesting. Okay. It says Trump's Golden Dome pitched to Canada. He says $61 billion to join Missile Shield or become 51st U.S. state and get it free. So he's saying pay $61 billion to join the Missile Shield defense system or become the 51st state U.S. state and get it free. This is what Trump is offering Canada. It says U.S. President Donald Trump has an offer for Canada if it were to be part of the Golden Dome cutting-edge missile defense shield project that he announced last week. The Trump administration plans to build a Golden Dome missile defense shield, which can intercept missiles. Even those launched from the other end of the world or space is estimated to cost $175 billion. Last Tuesday, Trump said in a True Social post that he had asked Canada to pay $61 billion to be part of the fabulous Golden Dome system if the country chooses to remain a separate but unequal nation. However, Trump said it would cost $0 if they become our cherished 51st state. They're considering the offer, he added. The Congressional Budget Office, CBO, estimates that the U.S. may have to spend as much as $542 billion over 20 years to develop and launch the space interceptors. And yeah, I was watching a video yesterday, by the way, about some woman talking about how she was warning America how the country was in severe debt. $36 billion, $36 trillion in debt. At least, something like that. According to this thing and everything. It was pretty interesting. And how, like, they've got to find a way to fix the debt crisis. They got to find a way to fix the debt in the economy because it's going to cause a problem, and everything, right? And they're saying that Trump's missile defense shield could put the economy in even more debt with the fact that he wants to build this in the next 3 years, dude. Following Trump's announcement last week, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney confirmed that high-level talks were ongoing for joining the proposed Golden Dome project. At the time, Carney said, we're conscious that we have an ability, if we so choose, to complete the Golden Dome with investments and partnerships. But I'm not sure one negotiates on this. These are military decisions and we'll evaluate accordingly. The U.S. and Canada have a partnership in place since 1958 called NORAD. This system is responsible for aerospace and maritime surveillance, warning and defense of the region, and can detect and shoot down cruise missiles. The Trump administration officials hinted that the project would involve more Silicon Valley than big metal, suggesting that new age software-focused companies along with legacy defense companies could also be lined up for it. Traders believe that Plantar Technologies, which already has a presence in the defense sector, could be a big beneficiary of the project. Analysis also seek RTX, Northrop Grumman, NOC, Lockheed Martin, L&T, and L3 Harris Technologies, LHX, as potential beneficiaries, CNBC reported. The Invesco QQQ Trust, QQQ ETF, and the SPDR, S&P 500 ETP, this is stocks, SPY, have gained 2.1% and 1.2% respectively this year. For advice, for updates and corrections, email newsroom at stockwins.com. And it talks about Trump. Apple, India to U.S. iPhone shipments surged 74% in April. North Korea warned of Trump's Golden Dome missile defense system. Russia and North Korea know about that defense system. Trump's Qatar private jet wasn't even a gift. Okay. There's no such thing as a free plane. Well, that's true. Donald Trump's administration specifically sought out the luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet from Qatar's government to replace Air Force One, despite the president insisting that the plane was a gift. A senior White House office official told CNN that Trump tasked Steve Witkoff, the president's special envoy to the Middle East, and a shady crypto partner, with tracking down a replacement of Air Force One. For Air Force One, after Trump learned that Boeing would not have new jets ready for another 2 years. Witkoff ended after leading initial conversations with the Qatari government, according to the White House official. Boeing provided the Pentagon with a list of other clients who might be able to help with America's search for a new plane. Three sources told CNN. One of their sources said that Qatar was included on the list of clients, and the U.S. reached out by purchasing a luxury plane from the Qatari Defense Ministry, which indicated it was willing to sell. There was also discussions about leasing the plane, said another source. Legal negotiations over the plane's transfer are still ongoing, and it's unclear how the plane went from being a potential purchase to a $400 million gift. Trump and his administration are putting stress that the plane will be free of charge, a gift of goodwill from a foreign government, sparking major backlash on both sides of the aisle over concerns of foreign corruption. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the potential transfer a donation to our country on Monday, but the plane is much more of a official gift to Trump, more than to the people of the United States, whose taxpaying dollars can end up funding the costly rebuild for the president's supposedly free gift. Trump reportedly toured a Qatari plane with aides in February, and began lamenting how luxurious the plane was compared to his own transportation options. Last week, Trump whined that the current Air Force One is a much less impressive plane than the lavish ones dictators use. That's pretty interesting. I don't know. But that is pretty interesting. Yeah, this was kind of interesting too. RFK Jr. announced vaccines bombshell. It says he restricts access for millions of Americans. I'm not saying that that's not necessary. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but a lot of people disagree with vaccines, right? And a lot of people weren't a fan of taking the COVID vaccine. We as Americans are set to no longer be routinely offered the COVID vaccine. Agency as Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. revealed today that the shot would not be recommended for healthy children and healthy pregnant women. RFK Jr. said he couldn't be more pleased to announce an announcement adding that it was common sense and good science. The move reverses previous guidance which are making it the COVID vaccine to everyone aged 6 months old and forever and older. In a video on X revealing that the announcement, RFK Jr. said, last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get another COVID shot, despite the lack of clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children. The recommendation for the COVID vaccine for young and healthy individuals has long been criticized, given that the group face a low risk of hospitalization and death from the virus. There are also concerns over side effects linked to the shots, including myocarditis or heart inflammation, which is rare, which is more common among young children. The FDA is reportedly reanalyzing whether the evidence supports boosting healthy people under 65 against COVID. See, when it comes to this type of stuff, man, I don't trust the government, and I don't trust healthcare providers or doctors, medical professionals, because I don't trust what they give me. I don't, because I know stuff can happen, and I know there's a lot of side effects to things. So I don't take medicine. I don't take a lot of things. I don't. Because I know it can do stuff to you. That's why I don't do it. And everything. I don't take specific things or medications or stuff like that. I don't do that because I know it can have a lot of effects on you. It can do things to you when you have no idea about it or you don't know. Now, the professionals claim that they say they know what they're giving you, and they have an idea of they're saying to take this, and they say it's going. No, they claim that when they give you something, and everything, but you don't quite know what it is or what's in it, and everything. That's what's interesting about stuff nowadays. It's like, I don't trust the medical field when they give me something, they give me a random medication because I'm not sure what it will do, and I don't take it. And I'm not going to take something unless I'm dying. That's the thing, right? That's all, and everything, right? Because I know what it can do to you. And my phone died. Like, with all this stuff happening to my mother now, dude, like, I especially don't trust the medical industry and doctors now. And I don't even know if I actually trust hospitals. Because they claim to actually say that they're giving patients the right medication. But now it's beginning to make me wonder what the hell's going on. Okay, concentrate, and everything, right? What exactly is going on? And it just makes me not trust stuff even more. And everything, right? So yeah, and everything, right? And then, and then all the stuff that happened with my dad with ALS, and they never really quite knew why he got ALS, and everything, right? And stuff, and they claim to have an idea of what they were doing with him and stuff, but I don't really think they really actually had it. I really don't think they actually did a lot for my dad. It comes straight, and everything. And looking back on it now, I don't trust stuff. So yeah, that has a lot to do with it. So yeah, it's the same thing with medication. When I'm giving medication, I just don't take certain I just don't take medicine. I don't take medicine. I don't take certain things. And everything, right? I don't. Because it's like, I know I've had problems with stuff like that in the past. So yeah, And I'm just, and I'm not saying I'm necessarily against vaccines, but I just don't think I don't think that they're good for you, no. I don't think that they're good for you. Because you don't know what's in them. Right? And everything, right? I'm not a person that has vaccines or takes shots or does certain things to his body or has needles stuck in him. Or, yeah, I don't do that type of stuff, man. Or you put some random something in my arm or body. No, that's why I just not, like that, and everything, right? I don't get those because I don't trust them. COVID taught me not to trust those. COVID taught me not to trust those things. COVID taught me the hard way not to trust that vaccine. I remember when Hank Aaron died back in 2021 and he passed away, and then I thought, and then and I still think to this day that stuff was really suspicious. And why did he pass away? So, when it comes to, and everything, how did he die? He took the COVID vaccine and somehow he died the next day, and I was like, that made me really suspicious of that shit. I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't make any sense. But then it's like, okay, I remember when Hank Aaron passed. And it's like, okay, if Hank Aaron dies the next day, I'm not taking that thing. And everything. It made me realize something suspicious was going up with things. I started looking into shit. I started looking into shit. But yeah.
The Moderna and Pfizer and COVID vaccine, when I find out, when I heard the stuff about other people taking it and they died from it, and stuff happened to them, I was like, no, I'm not touching that thing. So, when it comes to, and everything, right?
So, yeah. The medical field is something that I'm not a fan of.
When it comes to it.
Especially you putting stuff in my body, needles, whatever. Have that stuff. I want that stuff as far away from me as possible.
And everything, right? And stuff, right?
I guess you could say I've learned to put my health and my stuff in God's hands than the medical industry.
When it comes to it, and everything, right?
And for the most part, the last 3 or 4 years, I've been extremely healthy in my life. I've been the most healthy I've been in a long time. And everything, right? I have been. Except for those except maybe for except maybe for things that happened a couple of weeks ago when I was going through stuff. But other than that, that was it. I've been pretty healthy this year. I really haven't had to go to any medical professionals or nothing really. The last 3 or 4 years of my life, I've been probably the healthiest I've been. I've just been, physically healthy, mentally healthy. Well, that's up for debate, but physically healthy. Yeah, no physical symptoms or nothing wrong with my body. I've probably been the most healthiest I've been, and I've probably been the most healthiest, and I've probably been the most healthiest I've been physically, and the most healthy I've been as far as athletically. Like, I'm in really good shape for my age. I am. It comes around, and everything. I'm in really good shape for my age, body-wise, considering, because I take care of my health, and I drink a lot of water, and I do a lot of things like that. But yeah,
and things like that. So
I keep myself in really good, healthy condition. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of that stuff. So yeah, it's like I'm probably been in the best shape and the most healthiest I've been in my life for years, and in years now. I've got a lot of stuff out of my life. I've cut a lot of things out. I don't drink sodas. I do a lot of things to take care of myself, keep myself healthy. I'm not saying that necessarily. I'm not telling people to quit. I'm not telling people how to live their lives. I'm just saying that I've been probably the healthiest I've been in years. Probably physically,
and everything, right? And stuff.
Physically, yeah, but mentally, well, that's 50-50 sometimes. So, because, and everything, but yeah. I just don't trust medical professionals, and everything.
Because you just never know. You never know you never know what the side effects of things are gonna really do to you. and that's why I don't take medications, because of side effects. I don't like side effects of taking medication. So yeah, and everything. So I don't want to have to deal with the side effects, unless I guess I was dying. And if I was the only way I would be doing that, I guess you could say, is if I was dying or I was on my deathbed. Then maybe I would take it. But if I'm not in serious danger or I'm not dying, I'm not taking medicine. I'm not taking stuff because I don't like the side effects of what comes with it. So yeah. And I've done my research on stuff. I've done a lot of research on stuff, and I know I've done a lot of research on things and watched a lot of things. So I guess you could say I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist, or I'm kind of a skeptic. I'm a skeptic, and I've become a skeptic in my life the last 3 or 4 years. I have. I've become a skeptic, or I've become a person that's very skeptical about things. Don't trust a lot of things. And that's for good reason. It is, and everything. But yeah. Now at my age getting older, 28, I don't trust a lot of things. I'm a skeptic. I'm a skeptical person. I'm a person that doesn't trust a lot of things, including certain individuals and people. Very guarded person. I'm careful about who I spend my time with, who I'm around, and I'm kind of only have a certain amount of people I do stuff with, which I guess that's why I spend most of my time alone by myself. But and I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist, or a person that looks into stuff. Not really a conspiracy, but I guess you could call me a conspiracy theorist, a person that looks into stuff. I don't trust a lot of things. I especially don't trust the government. But yeah, and everything, right? But you could say, really, I'm a person that's become a skeptic, especially what's happened to my father and all these things. I've really changed the way I look at things in my life now. So yeah. So yeah, I think it has a lot to do with God. I think God has gotten me to a better place. He's pulled me out of a lot of stuff, and without God, I would have been in a worse place. I've been over a lot of things, but because of God, I've not turned to things that have really messed up my life. I've been in those physical shape and a really good, and really good health. God's kept me in really good health, and for the most part, I've probably been in the best shape of my life I've been in years. In a long time in general, but and I don't drink and I don't smoke, so yeah, it's just it's so a lot of it has to do with God, like helping me get through stuff. Sometimes it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I've wanted to turn to drinking and drugs and other things to numb stuff. It's very hard. And I'm not saying I'm not perfect, and I don't struggle with things too. I do, but they're better. It's better to deal with them now, especially because I've been able to. God's been helping me deal with those things. But yeah, and everything. But oh yeah, I think a lot of it. I think I owe a lot of my physical health, and I think I owe a lot of myself, my physicalness and my health, and me being able to keep going, and my body being in really good shape. And I'd say probably, and me and me having the strength and the ability to do what I do every day and being in really good condition. I owe that to God. I owe that to Him giving me that, and everything. And God's, well, I'd say probably for the most part, had me in the best shape of my life in years. Had me in the best shape of my life in the last 3 or 4 years, and physically, in a lot of ways. I've also overcome a lot in my life, and I've been doing better. Therapy does help too, but yeah, it's like, but yeah, I owe it to God because He's really helped me. God has kept me healthy and in really good condition for stuff, and everything. So
and everything. So like, I've been in the best shape, or the best health I've been in my life in a long time. So, and everything. But I've changed stuff too. I don't do what I used to do anymore either, because I've had some health scares in the past couple of weeks too. So, but yeah, me when it comes to vaccines, I'm not necessarily like, I say I not necessarily hate them. I'm not against them necessarily. I could say I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I don't trust it. But I'm not necessarily saying that I'm not necessarily saying it should be banned or people shouldn't be able to use them, or they should be restricted. In case something happens. But it's up to you. I guess it's really like your idea on what you think. I guess it's like your idea on what you think about that stuff, and whether you determine if you want to get it or your family gets it or whatnot. And everything. Some people don't do it for religious reasons, or some people, they're like very godly people, don't believe in taking the vaccine. I'm not necessarily against it or say it should be restricted, but I don't trust it. But I'm not saying that. I'm not necessarily saying that people don't have the ability to get it in case something happens, but I don't like it. I don't like what's in it. But am I necessarily saying vaccines should go away? No. And everything, right? And stuff like this. But yeah. Okay, there are a lot of people that are anti-vaxxers out there, and they say they're not going to get the shot, or they're not going to get the thing, they're not going to get those types of things for stuff. But, I'm really 50-50 on it. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily a person that's against it, but really it's up to the individual and what they think, right? So, I agree with RFK. I don't think that people that are healthy should necessarily need to get vaccinated or need a vaccine. It's just going to make it worse. But healthy children and healthy individuals, and he said pregnant women and healthy children, I think. I agree. I agree with them on that. I think I think he's right on that. But let me find that. Yeah, he said healthy children and healthy pregnant women. Yeah, it's like, I agree. He says, RK Jr. announced a move with a video of himself flanked by Dr. Marty McCrary, the new FDA head, and Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, the new head of the NHI, which funds research. Dr. Bhattacharya added, that ends today. It's common sense and it's good science. Dr. McCarthy said there's no evidence that healthy kids needed today, and most countries have stopped recommending it for children. Critics say the change to vaccine guidance risks sending a confusing message about vaccines. About 73 million Americans are under 18 years old. Well, there are around 3.3 million pregnancies, 3.3 million. There's way more than that. Well, there are around 5.3 million pregnancies each year. People who fall into these categories can still be recommended vaccine if they have one of 20 underlying conditions that raise the risk of suffering from severe COVID and making someone eligible for the vaccine, including common elements like obesity. Dr. Vinay Prasad, in charge of vaccines for the FDA, said at a press conference late last week that the CDC's list of underlying conditions means that the vaccines will remain available for most. RFK Jr. appears to have unilaterally removed the recommendation from the CDC's vaccination schedule, a power that HHS Secretary has but is rarely used. The above shows uptake for the latest COVID booster recommended to everyone aged 6 months and over, and the one for the previous year. Normally, any changes would go through a consultation period in the CDC's Vaccines and Advisory Body. The Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices were being made by the HHS Secretary. The CDC is currently without any acting director. Last week, the FDA also said that annual updated COVID shots would no longer be automatically approved. Dr. Perez said, revealing the change, we have launched down this multi-year campaign of booster after booster after booster. But we do not have the gold standard science to support this average risk, low risk Americans. He said companies would instead need to undertake new clinical studies to show that the updated boosters are finding a benefit for younger adults who are at lower risk from the virus. This is a view shared by a former FDA Commissioner, Dr. Robert Califf, who worked in JAMA. In January, COVID vaccine uptake is now low enough that large randomized clinical trials are feasible to evaluate the efficiency and safety of new updated boosters. Revealing plans to change vaccine recommendations last week, Dr. Vinay Prasad, the FDA vaccines head, said companies will need to conduct rigorous clinical trials to prove their shots were safe and effective for less at-risk age groups. The above shows current vaccine booster recommendations in other Western countries. The U.S. has much broader recommendations than other nations. So it says, list of underlying medical conditions. There are police say persons at risk with severe COVID-19. Asthma, cancer, hematologic malignancy, cardiovascular disease, chronic kidney disease, people receiving dialysis, chronic lung disease, limited to the following: bronchitis, COPD, intestinal lung disease, pulmonary emphysema. So basically just, if you're at risk or you have severe things, it's saying it's a good idea to consider getting updated on vaccines. David Unmail in February how several members of Trump's administration were pushing for tighter restrictions on the COVID vaccine. Uptake of COVID booster shots has dropped in the U.S. with data showing that just 33% of those eligible for the booster age 6 months over came forward for last year's shot. Kenya has a history of opposition to the COVID vaccines, saying in 2021 that shots were the deadliest vaccine ever made. Well, yeah, they were made to kill people. I guarantee you they were made to kill people. They didn't tell you what was in it because they wanted to kill people. These people are corrupted and evil. They put something in those things they never told people. And, dude, the medical industry wants to make money. So they're not going to tell you what's in those medications or what's in that stuff. They want to make money. They're making billions of dollars off of shit. They don't care. They don't care if you know what's in it. They sell it to you because it's their job and they're trying to make money. They don't care what the side effects do to you, even if it kills you. And people are like, oh, I trust the medical industry. Well, I don't. I trust God. Sue me. If vaccines are working for somebody, I'm going to take them away, he said in November 2024. People ought to have choice, and that choice ought to be informed by the best information. So I'm going to make scientific safety studies and efficiency are out there. And people can make individual assessments about whether that product is going to be good for them. Yeah, so they're not saying they're necessarily restricting it or taking it away. People have the option to take it with stuff, but
They're saying that it's not necessarily for certain people that are healthy that don't need to take it.
And so I'm just trying to see what's going on with stuff. So I guess that's it for Middle East stuff. Yeah. Here it is. This is what I was looking for. Israel plans attack even if Trump reaches nuclear deal. This is what I was looking for. Yeah. So I thought I saw something about there's something happening with Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is threatening to launch a strike on Iran's nuclear sites, even if the United States secures a diplomatic agreement with Tehran. Escalating fears inside President Donald Trump's administration as a surprise Israeli attack could derail ongoing nuclear negotiations, according to a New York Times report. U.S. intelligence agencies assess that Israel could execute a strike within several hours of Netanyahu's order, giving Washington a little or no time to intervene. The growing rift between Trump and Netanyahu is now prompting urgent high-level talks between senior officials from both countries, the report said. Newsweek has reached out the State Department and the Foreign Ministry of Iran and Israel for comment. The prospect of an Israeli military strike on Iran's nuclear facilities without coordination or regard for a negotiated U.S. deal would mark a serious fact fracture in the long-standing alliance between the United States and Israel. For Trump, the risk is twofold: the collapse of diplomatic effort to curb Iran's nuclear capabilities and the outbreak of a wider regional conflict triggered by an Israeli operation. In this photo, according to the New York Times report, Netanyahu has directed Israeli defense officials to continue planning a strike on Iran's nuclear infrastructure, regardless of whether a U.S.-Iran agreement is finalized. Options under review range from limited targeted strikes to broader multi-day operations, some of which could take place in densely populated areas. The Trump administration has issued firm warnings to Israel not to disrupt the ongoing talks with Iran, but concerns are mounting in Washington that Netanyahu may proceed with the strike, viewing any deal that allows Iran to retain enriching capabilities as unacceptable. According to Israel's Channel 12, Trump and Netanyahu engaged in a heated phone call last week, during which Trump reportedly solicited, "I want a diplomatic solution with the Iranians. I believe in the ability to make a good deal," underscoring his desire to win a military confrontation. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, the head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, Hussein Salami, said that Tehran is ready to respond decisively to any Israeli military action. "Our hands are on the trigger, we're waiting. If they make a mistake, they will face responses, then we'll make them forget their past." Salami said, according to Iran state media, he has also addressed the U.S. stating, "We're prepared for every scenario." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, "Whatever happens, we have to make sure that Iran does not have nuclear weapons. We've had some very, very good talks with Iran. I think we could have some good news on the Iran front." This was from Trump. IRGC Commander Hussein Salami, "If they make a mistake, they will face responses that will make them forget their past." Well, with Netanyahu pressing ahead in the U.S.-Iran talks at a tipping point, the coming days may determine whether diplomacy can avert war or if there's an even wider confrontation. This was 3 hours ago. So I think that's it. Yeah, Trump pardoned reality shows Todd and Julie Chrisley of fraud and tax evasion convictions, it said. So. Um, yeah, I think that's it. All right, I'm gonna go get something to eat. Cause I haven't eaten anything, and then we will.
Do this.
Ah, fuck. I just realized I gotta go to therapy tomorrow, and this probably won't work because. Yeah, that might not work very well with my mother being sick and everything, so. Oh, I don't know anymore, man. Let me see something here a minute. What's the weather like tomorrow? Cloudy. %, chance of rain. 12 o'clock a.m. Okay. 2 o'clock. 54% chance of rain, storms, 11 a.m. 37% chance of rain and storms, 2 o'clock. Alright. Be some thunderstorms and rain tomorrow. On Thursday.
All right. I'll be back. I gotta go get something to eat. Ugh. Ugh.
Or are you sleeping? Okay. Okay. I want to see what this thing is they're saying about Iran. They're talking about considering halting enrichment. I don't see that happening. Okay. Okay, alright, I'm back. I got really hungry and I decided to go make myself something like... I made myself like a meal at this point, not even like a like a buffet of stuff. I got hungry. Anyway, let's see what this is. I want to see what this video is real quick. It says Israel will go up against Iran's nuclear facilities with or without the U.S. Okay.
Good afternoon, people watching Miss 65, Lisa Boyce. I just got back from the gym, so let me give you a verse of scripture out of 1 Corinthians 8:6, and it says, "But to us there is but one God, the Father, of whom are all things, and we in him, and one Lord Jesus Christ, by whom are all things, and we by him." So, let me give you the gospel. It's in 1 Corinthians 15:1-4. Christ shed his blood for all of our sins, past, present, and future, was buried, and rose again on the third day according to Scripture. That's how we're saved, why we're saved, and how we're kept saved, through his death, burial, and resurrection. It is grace through faith in Christ alone, not of ourselves, not of works, lest any man should boast. It is grace, something we didn't earn, something we don't deserve, that God gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him will not perish but have eternal life. How do you come to that? You admit you're a sinner in need of Christ. The moment you put your faith and trust in Christ and his blood, the moment you accept Christ as Savior, you're saved. Not only are you saved, but you are justified by the blood of Jesus. You are protected by the blood of Jesus. You are rapture ready, which is going to happen at any time. And you're sealed until the day of redemption, which means you cannot and will not lose your salvation. The Holy Spirit will indwell in you, lead you, guide you, minister to you, encourage you, speak to you, teach you, and change you if you let him. So I will be doing an X video today. And it's important. So it's funny, when you start working out, your mind, you get more focused. And I had did this before, but I didn't see any results until I started strength training. And it's
I
amazing
need to charge these.
how it helps your mind and you become a lot more focused. So yeah, that does work. So we got some news about Israel. And I'm looking at this and this is what I thought was going to happen. So this is the report. This is off of 7 Israel National News. And it says that Netanyahu threatens Iran's strike amid Trump nuclear talk. Now, the one thing Hateful Hal said, even though he hates Israel, he hates the Jewish, he just hates. But the one thing that he said was true is this.
Charge this.
Israel is going to go up against Iran whether Trump approves it or not. And Trump knows that. And that's the relationship that Trump and him have. He's come out and told him Trump is not going to go against Israel. He's come out and said it, and he's even said it once or twice in public. I'm giving them permission to do what they can, to do what they want to do against Iran. If they need us, we'll be there. That's his thing. I don't really blame him for that. Now, according to Hal Turner and people like him, we should leave him alone. But that's not what the Bible says to do.
Just let him get nukes, man.
The reason this nation has been blessed the way it has is because in 1948, who was in charge in 1948? United States president. Was it Truman? I think it was Truman. Let me see. Who was president in 1948? Was it Truman?
I thought it was Reagan.
I think it was. Hold on a minute. Yeah, it was Truman. He helped sign this thing on to get Israel to become a nation. This nation, despite its bad players, have been blessed. I know a lot of people say, how? Where? I tell you what, and I would tell these very same people that says how and where, let me see, go over to Venezuela where they're telling Americans not to come. Go over to North Korea. Go over to one of these third world countries and you will see just how blessed this nation is. But there is an expiration date. And that's soon to come to an end very, very, very soon. So this is saying that as the Trump administration moves toward a possible nuclear deal with Iran, which is not going to happen. You know what? I'm from what I'm seeing and from what other people are seeing.
I don't think it is either, but apparently Witkoff is also saying he's optimistic about reaching a deal with Iran. I just don't see it happening. These people's full-on goal is to wipe out Israel.
This is not going to go down. Benjamin Netanyahu is reportedly considering a preemptive strike on Iran's nuclear facility, according to officials cited in the New York Times. Now, I've said this before. If he's going to do something, he needs to do it now and quit talking. The divergence in approach, diplomacy versus military action, has led to tense conversations, including a heated phone call between Trump and Netanyahu, as well as a series of high-level meetings in Washington and Europe. Trump stated Sunday that something good could emerge from his diplomatic push in the next 2 days. Really?
I don't see that.
I'm curious, because I doubt if it's what he thinks. Sources involved say only framework of shared principles may materialize. With negotiations ongoing over uranium enrichment, fuel stockpiles, and whether materials will be exported or diluted. Now, the thing that they're doing, they're trying to play Trump, is what Iran is doing. They're trying to make him keep thinking. This is why they're making him come back and forth to the negotiation table. They're trying to make you think that they're doing something and that a deal is going to be made, when in fact it's not. While Israel is not part of the talks, Netanyahu argues Iran's current vulnerability in an opportunity for a decisive strike, while Trump sees it as leverage for diplomacy. Israeli officials worry Trump's eager to secure a deal stronger than former Barack Obama's 2015 agreement may let Iran retain enrichment capability. Now, if that's the case, I don't blame Netanyahu. Take him out now.
That would cause
Don't even give him a chance.
Yeah,
Now, Netanyahu
that would cause a
recently
lot of
said
problems
a good
for them to
deal
get their
must
hands on nukes,
dismantle all of the infrastructure of Iran's nuclear program, including deep underground sites like Fordow and the TASS. The New York Times report is based on anonymous.
It's Isfahan. It's Isfahan, Fordo, Nednaz, and Acre.
Officials from Israel, the U.S., and Europe. So Israeli Minister Ron Dermer and Mossad chief David Barnea met with Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff in Rome, then traveled to D.C. to speak with CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Dermer and Witkoff also held follow-up talks. Now, asked by the New York Times for comment, White House officials pointed to Trump's earlier remarks that he would love to see no bombs dropped. So the talks between Witkoff and Iranian negotiator Abbas Araghchi have stalled. They've stalled over the U.S. demand for zero enrichment on Iranian soil, a condition Iran rejects. Araghchi posted on social media, if the Western powers insist on zero enrichment in Iran, there is nothing left for us to discuss. They're not budging. So it looks like, and with all intents and purposes, Israel don't have a choice. Israel don't have a choice, and they need to do this like now, because they, with this stalled talk, and with this administration constantly saying that they're coming up with a deal anytime now, that's stalling the inevitable. So experts say any interim agreement must ensure Iran removes or significantly dilutes its near weapons grade uranium to satisfy critics. So Netanyahu, a long skeptic of diplomacy with Iran, is once again threatening military action even without U.S. support. So American intelligence reportedly detected Israeli preparations for such a strike and briefed Trump. During a phone call, Netanyahu did not deny the reports and stressed the urgency of acting before Iran regains strength. That's why they keep going up against these talks and stalling these talks. They're doing that on purpose so they can rebuild and keep doing what they're doing and get stronger. So the U.S. Military officials doubt Israel could achieve significant results without the U.S. aid. I do agree with that. They're going to need the U.S. Still, some Israel officials believe the U.S. would be forced to intervene if Iran retaliated. That is something too. They would be forced to. Even if an agreement is reached, Israeli officials say Netanyahu might strike anyway. Which again, I don't blame him. After meeting with Trump in April, he directed national security staff to continue preparing for potential operations, including independent, limited strikes if necessary. Plans reportedly range from targeted hits to extended bombing campaigns, even in densely populated areas. Now, Trump is getting this Iron Dome, or this Golden Dome. He's getting that set for the United States. Now, the nations that are coming against him for this, which I love, is Iran, Russia, North Korea, and China. The 4 nations that have nuclear capability to hit the United States. So naturally, they're going to come against it. This thing is going to be ready by the end of his term. Now, it's going to cost a lot of money.
$61 billion.
The one nation that they want on board.
It's $61 billion. He already said it's going to cost $61 billion. And he wanted to get Canada to join in, or Canada wanted to be a part of it. They had to pay $61 billion to be a part of this defense shield.
Board.
Or become the 51st state of the U.S.
And that they want to come on board is Canada. He told Canada, you can do it for how many other billions of dollars that you want, unless you become our 51st state.
It's free if you become
It was
the 51st
just broadcast
state.
on Fox. Canada is considering it. Let that set in for a minute. So I'm going to link this article in the description box, and I will be back with the next video roughly this evening. So thank you.
So, what is going on in the skies? I want to talk about this today. My name is Tom. You are watching the Watching River channel. I'm really glad you're here. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining me. I want to remind you that I'm not a prophet. I'm not a pastor. I'm just a guy sitting in my office in the middle of Connecticut by the river talking about Jesus and his soon return. So before we begin, let's do a few scriptures. I picked out some that really encouraged me. I've read them many times here before, but I needed these today, and these are the ones I chose. Deuteronomy 31, verse 8. And the Lord, he is the one who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. Do not fear nor be dismayed. I love that verse. Isaiah 40, 31. You guys know how much I love this one. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Oh, can I get an amen? I heard that. Isaiah 43, verse 2. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, nor shall the flames scorch you. And I always say with this, I love that we walk through these things. God never parks us in valleys in life. You belong to Jesus. He'll walk you through these valleys. I love that. Psalm 90, verse 17, and let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish the work of our hands for us. Yes, establish the work of our hands. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 4, verse 16. Therefore we do not lose heart, even though our outward man is perishing, yet the inward man is being renewed day by day. Are you being renewed day by day by the indwelling Holy Spirit of God? Do you belong to Jesus? I really hope you do. If you don't, please keep watching, okay? Luke chapter 12, verses 6 and 7, the words of Jesus. Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 copper coins? And not one of them is forgotten before God. But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear, therefore. You are of more value than many sparrows. Don't you love that? Yeah, sparrows don't have to worry about nothing. They just are, and God takes care of them. But with us, he even numbers the hairs of our head. Now, I made it really easy on the top of my head, and the number's 0. I just, gave the Lord a little break there, and but I do have these hairs, so he's numbered those, and that's amazing. And the ones that are pouring out of my ears as I age that I have to keep clipping, But what an incredible thing that the Most High God has the hairs of our head numbered. That blows me away. It really does. All right, so let's chat. There have been numerous times since I started this channel where I brought up something that I thought people are going to think I'm nuts. But I've always been surprised because people in the comments then say, I was just saying that to my wife or whatever the reply was. But I'll give you an example. I don't know if you remember. Only those who've been watching me a long time will remember this. At one point I said, have you guys noticed that the sun is no longer golden? That it's more like the whitest, brightest LED light you've ever seen? Because you know what? When I was a child, the sun was golden. And I thought, people are going to think I'm nuts. Has the sun really changed? Or, and the comments poured in. Tom, I was
People
just
think
talking
I'm
to
nuts,
my wife
too.
about that. Tom, we were just saying that, Well, I got another one for you, okay?
People think I'm
And
going
the
half
only reason
crazy
I'm
with the
bringing
things
it
I
up-
say.
Well, I'll get to
I
that.
probably have.
The day before yesterday, my
some of
wife
it
and I
could
were
actually
in the
be
car,
true.
and we're driving one of our daughters home from school. And when you live in Connecticut, anyone who knows the Northeast, you don't see a lot of sky in Connecticut because it's all hills and winding roads, and as you can see behind me, a lot of greenery. So it's rare to find a place where you can see a lot of sky. Well, there's one place as we head home, we go over this crest of a hill and you can see a lot of sky. And I saw something I've never seen before, and I slowed down and I was just staring up, and I'm kind of, scanning from left to right the whole sky. And I look at my wife and she's doing
People think I'm crazy or look at me weird. And I say, I feel like I've been going through a lot of attacks. I feel like I have been challenged a lot, and I have been through a lot. I have been tested a lot in my life, a lot, especially in recent years. I've gone through a lot of tests. And I was looking crazy, like, tested? What do you mean by tested? Another thing, I'm like, well, you wouldn't get it.
the same thing.
You're all, you know.
I said, is that abnormal, what we're seeing right now? Have you ever seen this
In other
before?
words, like, you know, tested a lot more than some people. I feel like.
And she said, I've never seen this before. I said,
In other
no.
words, I feel like that a lot lately too. I feel like I'm being tested.
Or have I? It was, oh, all right, let me explain it this way. Do you know when you're looking at a blue sky that's just so blue and you see the really white puffy clouds intermittently placed in the sky? This was that, but there was no blue sky. The sky was white. The sky was literally white. And I turned around when I was driving and I kind of looked in the horizon behind me, and there wasn't one patch of blue anywhere. The sky was white. And I've seen that many times where the sky is overcast and it's just white and you really can't see individual clouds.
When I look at the sky,
I've never
I don't,
seen a white
I don't think it's
sky
actually blue.
with
I think it's
puffy
more white than
clouds
blue, actually,
intermittently
personally.
placed in front of the white sky.
The sky's not that blue.
And
It seems like
at
it's
first I
gotten
thought maybe
white,
when I
yeah.
was scanning the sky and thinking,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that. I thought maybe I just haven't paid attention, even though I am a sky watcher. But my wife, right away, when I looked at her and she was looking at it, and I said, have you ever seen that? She's like, no. I'm like, I haven't either. Really blew my mind. And I thought, is this something that I should talk about? Or people are going to be like, Tom, you're just nuts.
The weather's
You're
been
insane."
strange this year, though.
Last night,
Yeah.
I'm laying in bed, and my television is set up to play YouTube. And I was playing, there was a live stream going on that I was watching, 4
Well,
or 5 guys talking.
I feel like I'm going nuts.
And my YouTube is set up
I feel
on
like
the
I've gone
television
crazy
that
a lot
it
lately.
automatically starts when videos are done, it starts a new video. And at some point in the night, somebody was talking and it stirred my sleep. It didn't completely wake me up, but it woke me up enough to know that it was being said. And somebody was talking to another guy, and said, you know what I saw recently? I saw a completely white sky with poofy clouds in front of it. And I literally thought in my sleep, like, that's exactly what we saw. So I'm going to mention it because I probably wouldn't have brought this forward. But has anyone seen that?
This year's been
completely nuts?
strange.
Have you seen that?
Extremely strange.
I know that when we talked about the LED sun
Not
and
strange.
different things
I mean,
about
it's
the
not-
skies,
It's not strange
many
if you
people
understand
agree.
the
But I don't know. This time
context,
I'm
but
like, I know that I
it's
saw
still
it, and I know that I haven't
this
seen
year's
it
been a little
before.
weird.
But has anyone
has
else
to a
in
degree.
any other part of the country seen something like that? Just curious. Just want to know.
Including with the weather.
Anyway, let's go to
The weather's been abnormal.
see what's going on because this world is wacky, man. We are in the last days. We're waiting for Jesus to come back. We're not looking for the day or the hour of his return. We just know we're in the season and we are waiting. And I mean, every day, I don't even cover it anymore. I used to cover more weather than I do, but today I just grabbed a screenshot of 3
I
headlines.
don't cover the
saw
weather
in a
anymore
row.
either.
And
I
one
used to
was
talk about it a lot
earliest
too.
monsoon in 75 years.
I used to talk about it a lot back in January and February. I used to talk a lot about the weather.
It's the 107-year-old May rainfall record in Mumbai. Then the next headline I saw was over 200.
Like when we had like the biggest cold spell we've had back in January. It said this year was the coldest month. January was the coldest month in a long time. This year,
structures damaged after
how it was like freezing temperatures. It was like the coldest it's been in a long time.
6.0 earthquake hit Sumatra, Indonesia. And then I saw more than 800 homes uninhabitable after a 1 in
then
a
those
500
plane
year
crashes.
flood in New South.
And then all those plane crashes too, man. I think like when I started seeing like the weird the odd weather changes and then the plane crashes, I think that's what made me really start to see how things were like